Hello, Theo traders. Gianni DePoce here with you, and today is Tuesday, the 22nd of October, 2024, and we are still seeing the stock market engage in sideways price action. The consolidation continues, but as a rule, a market that goes sideways near its highs tends to eventually continue in that upward direction. So you take a look at the S&P 500 here. We did make a new all-time high in the futures last week. And over the last 3 days or so, we've been in a pretty narrow trading range. But if you take a look at the NASDAQ 100 here, you are seeing a little bit of outperformance. It is slightly up on the day. Obviously, there's still another hour before the market closes, but I am encouraged by these internals. Now, I am not really that enthused the fact that the semiconductor sector is not performing better than the stock market, but it is in a technical position where we still could make a high. So, I've been saying for weeks and for months really that it's new all-time highs or bust for the NASDAQ. Now, if you compare what we're looking at here is the NASDAQ 100. That's the top 100 stocks in the NASDAQ. If you compare this to the NASDAQ composite, which is all the stocks in the NASDAQ, we did see a record closing high on Friday in the NASDAQ composite. That is a good sign since I do like to give more weighting to closing prices more than anything else. So we did have the NASDAQ composite close at an all-time high on Friday. That's a good sign. And now we just need to see it registered at an intraday level in both the NASDAQ 100 and at the composite level. Take a look at some of the big tech names. Apple hanging out near the highs. Meta finally catching a little bit of a bid. We are going to have Meta earnings next week on the 30th of October. So this week and next are going to be very important for various companies in terms of earnings. We do have that long position on Netflix, and we had that really positive reaction following the earnings results from last week. So I'm still keeping my upside objective in the 920 area, but we did tighten up the stop loss. Basically, if Netflix were to drop below where it gapped up from last week, I would want nothing to do with it. So to me, it's looking much better. You take a look at Google, it's trying to emerge from this inverted head and shoulders formation, but don't rush ahead and buy it just because it's trying to break out from this pattern. You would need to break above the neckline for this to be a complete resolution. Otherwise, it could continue in a different way. So Google is looking better, but not out of the woods yet. Microsoft putting in a couple strong days in a row. And this is a really important move because Microsoft does have the ability to move this market, and it does have its earnings on the same day as Meta. So the 30th next week, the day before Halloween, probably going to be important for the overall market. And I wouldn't be surprised if you had a blow off top of the sorts, kind of like a buy the rumor, sell the news event. And since we'll be so close to the election, there probably will be some, election news coming in around that time. But near term, I am watching earnings tomorrow for Tesla. I think this has the potential to break the NASDAQ out of its trading range. A tech heavy name like Tesla, and really is the final Magnificent Seven name to have not really begun a true bull trend over the last several months. I mean, you did have that bottom form in April, but when you compare it to its Magnificent Seven peers, Tesla is nowhere near its all-time high. Now, I think that could be a big opportunity in the near term, but the big line in the sand for me is 270. If Tesla clears 270, then I think it's going to look really strong and probably continue much higher. Obviously, a lot of excitement taking place in the cryptocurrency space. Bitcoin continues to consolidate near its resistance zone. If Bitcoin gets above 70 to 72,000, look out above. That's the big level that I'm watching for it to clear. We could test it this week, could test it next week. Ethereum, the Ethereum futures market had a really strong technical development over the last week. So we completed this higher low here on the 3rd of October, but more importantly, we finally took out on an intraday level this high from the 27th of October, and that happened on Monday. So technically, we have a higher high and a higher low, which is bullish price action. And a couple of the names that we've been in relation to crypto, MicroStrategy, we have a nice position in this with an upside target of 280 still. And Core Scientific, this is another name in the crypto space, hitting a new all-time high today. That's what you want to see, especially when you compare it to some of its peers like Mara and even Riot and Coinbase. Could these have bottomed? Sure, but I'm always going to go with the stock on the long side that is closer to its highs. Another one that we're watching here that is starting to show some notable strength is Hut 8 Mining Corporation. But there's also been some big developments on the nuclear front. You take a look at the uranium ETF, URA, it did explode higher. You've seen some impressive rallies in names like Centrus Energy that the stock has, almost tripled since August. And then, of course, Cameco. But we did just lock in a 63% gain for members here at TheoTRADE in nano nuclear energy yesterday. We had an upside target at 27. That was achieved yesterday. So we did capture profits on nano nuclear energy. And it's really a strong looking stock. On this one, we tightened up stop losses. I think it can go much higher, and I'm really bullish on the nuclear sector overall, and it makes up part of my Trinity trade thesis. I think the Trinity trade is going to be a major driver of market performance over the next 12 to 18 months, and I look forward to sharing more about that with you in the not so distant future. Another stock that we captured profits on here recently was Construction Partners. We had a target of 85 on this one. Came away with a 25% gain on that. And then another name is Powell Industries. It came in a little bit short of our upside target of 285, but I did send a note out in the chat room to members today to just step aside and capture profits. Still came away with a 24% gain. There's obviously big things happening in the precious metal space as well. Gold hitting a new all-time high today, and silver rallying to a multi-decade high. We've been very bullish precious metals all year, including on names like Agnico Eagle Mines, which we've owned since February. It is still a back up the truck name. We'll be looking to park the truck, so to speak, and make it a regular position in the if and when it hits $94. But our other names that we've been trading in this space, Pan American Silver, Wheaton Precious Metals, these are all hitting new highs. Members of AI Timing Webs have been benefiting from Gatos Silver here. That's approaching its upside target of 25. Then you have other names as well. They're doing exceptionally in this current environment. But the biggest thing for me is that you're seeing silver outperform gold. You're seeing silver miners outperform gold miners. That is what you want to see in this tape. I'm going to jump over to the currency market real quick because we continue to see the dollar absorb all the capital from everywhere. And I think it has a lot to do with the world wanting in on the action. Regardless of how the presidential election wraps up in a couple of weeks, I think that the world either wants part of the U.S. Economic Party or it may be seeking refuge from geopolitical risks around the world. So I don't think this trend in the dollar is going to slow down anytime soon, especially with bonds selling off the way they are. I'm looking for a potential reversal here. I'm looking for a low of significance really by the end of the year. I'm not ruling out the possibility that interest rates could continue to come down in the next year. In fact, that's kind of my preferred scenario. And again, I think the Trinity trade is going to drive that theme over the next 12 to 18 months. So right now, in this environment that we're trading in, I still think there's opportunities. We're getting a little bit late from a cyclical standpoint. We've been capturing some profits. I will still continue taking setups if they present themselves, but they have to be really strong risk reward ratios for me to continue taking them on long. But I do think this is still a bull market. And, underneath the surface at a sector leadership level, you are still seeing the right sectors lead. Save for utilities. Utilities, is the top performing sector year to date, again, or it was at least on Friday. And I would like to see, communications kind of reclaim that spot. It's close. And even tech's still up there. Technology, I think, is on the precipice of a major breakout, and it could really lead to new all-time highs in stock prices. So that's all for now, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you in the TheoTRADE chat room. And of course, stay tuned for further updates on the Trinity trade.